Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the show. Obviously, as usual, I have my co-host down there. There we go. Look, that's Mark, good friend. His channel's called Centroid. That's linked down below. Would you like to say hello, Mark?
Hello. How is everybody tonight? I hope well. I hope well.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
speak of the devil, Paul Murray's in the house.
Yes. Hello, Paul Murray. Hello there. Karel Barassa in the chat. Hello. Yeah, it's a Saturday night. I'm in a bit of a silly mood as well. Just clearing my pipes before the stream started. You know what I mean? All right. I don't know. I've just come over a little bit silly. So yeah, I hope that passes on and everyone has a good laugh with us tonight. It is the Saturday Nose Roundup. Saturday Drone News Roundup, of course, but it's kind of general chat as well. You know how it goes on a Saturday night. We've been doing these Saturday shows for a while now. We do like them, don't we, Mark?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
We do, we
I was
do.
hoping you said yes. Oh, for God's sake, keep roping me in. Right. Yes, yes. So, 6 people watching. We've only just started. That is awesome. Thank you. I don't say this very often, but feel free to hit the like button. Yeah, that's always appreciated. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy the show. I hope everyone's well. Feel free to say hello in the chat. We'll give you a quick shout out and greet you. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. So, Mark, do you have some interesting drone news stories for us tonight?
I think I have a couple of them, but let me respond to Paul's question. He says, Mark, what time are you going to sing the Mana Mana song? I would respond to that as never.
Fair enough.
Yes, I
Jeanette
have a good.
Pickering, hello there.
Hey, Jeanette, how are you tonight?
Yes. On Wednesday night, we raided your show after hours. You know what I mean? So I
And
hope
of
you
course,
appreciated it.
and I did what you did the previous week. I put her link in her own chat. I thought that was kind of funny,
Yes.
instead of putting it in my chat so that people can go over there. Sorry about that, Jeanette.
Yes. So, like I say, I hope everyone's having a good weekend. And I'm having a good weekend. Mark, you having a good weekend?
Yeah, it's the wind up of a whole week off. I have to get back into the swing of things, going back to work on Monday. That's going to be interesting, but it's been I can't say it's been a productive week, but it's been relaxing. So I need my
Good.
routine back, sadly enough.
Good. There has been a whole host of Red Dead Redemption this week. Yes. Yeah. So if anybody on PC gets Red Dead Redemption, please let us know because I've set up a Discord server now. Get in touch with me. I'll invite you to the Discord. We've got a right good crew going, and I'm hoping at some point in the future to maybe do some Red Dead Redemption live streams. Again, there was just prototypes before, but I would like to start them up again on my dead gaming channel, which I reckon I could resurrect,
And I
bring
and I
back
gotta
from the dead. You know?
and I gotta say, Steve, that if anybody's interested, it's quite a community that you've been developing with this Discord because we've added a few more people, a couple from Ireland and one who is from UK or Ireland, but he's now living in Australia. So we've got a
Yes.
nice mix of people from around the world
Oh
playing
yes,
the
there's
game now.
people
So
from the UK, Ireland, Australia, Germany, Iran, Belgium. We've got a few
you
others as well. I'm not sure where they're from, but you know, all
United
English
States,
speaking and whatnot. It's all good. Yes, Matt.
United States.
Well, I'm not going to include them. You know what I mean? You want to be British anyway, so that's that.
Oh,
Right.
here we go. Back to the conspiracy
Yeah.
stream. Here we
Yes.
go.
Yes. And we was joking about conspiracy theories earlier. One of the guys in the Discord was asking what the show was about, and I said I am a big fan of the old conspiracy theories. So let me know in the chat if you do want to see the return of the tinfoil hat show, just as a one-off, just to round up, because I still haven't finalised all of it yet, and I have a few more new conspiracy theories I've been looking up. So if you want to hear them, you know, let me know, and I'll make it happen one day. Yes. Karsten, hello there. That's Cece. Guten Abend.
CC, nice to see
Yes.
you.
Willkommen. Hello. Yes. Yes. Thank you for joining us, Cece. We're going to talk all sorts of stuff about drone news and just general chat, So, Mark, I know you've got a burning drone news story
Yeah, this should definitely bring up some discussion, I would think, and by all means, people in the chat, throw your comments or concerns in the chat as we go through it.
Yes.
So this one was actually spearheaded by Gary Brent Ariel, who's not in yet. So I want to give him credit for bringing this idea to our attention to talk about in the stream. Let me put the link in the chat for this one. I'm going to take the one from Drone Life. I was looking at a couple of different sources for this story, and this is the one I think you and I were both looking at. It's from Drone Life, again, another trusted source that we use. And it's basically who should know where your drone is. DJI responds to the drone to phone confusion. It's a very confusing article, and we discussed this before the stream, Steve. And starts off with DJI being concerned about privacy, but yet in the end, they're not. They almost feel like they have no control over this, and they're going to have to do it. So let me just kind of get to the story here. I'll read a bit at it. There's even a little video that on the chat that you might want to look at where the DJI is trying to explain the drone to phone system. As you folks may know, here in the States and soon in other areas, drones are going to have to be able to broadcast via the internet an ID of the drone and even more information, which is the biggest concern. So it says, in the continued discussion of how to best implement remote ID for drones, which purportedly is designed to enhance the security of the airspace, major manufacturers like DJI have an important role. Whatever the final decision is, DJI and other manufacturers will have to comply. And to meet customer requirements, they'll have to make it easy and inexpensive for operators to comply also. Now, to their credit, I think that's one of the redeeming qualities is that this system does not require you to retrofit any previous drones with new technology, and nor does it require them to add new technology to drones as they put them out. Basically, it's drone to phone. It says that's why DJI has been working on the problem in anticipation of the rule for several years, demonstrating technology like Aeroscope, a drone license plate technically, released more than 2 years ago, and most recently their drone to phone ID system. Basically, your drone will broadcast a signal to your controller, especially if it's connected to your phone, and a third party will then take that data and have it accessible to this is the confusion and this is the concern, to the general public. So if you're a concerned citizen who doesn't fly a drone, yet you're paranoid about drones, you should be able to pull up an app on your phone, be able to identify the drones in the area, not only know where the drone is, but its heading. It also broadcasts its ID number, which then I don't know if they'll have access to that database, but they'll also broadcast the location of the controller of the person who's actually flying it, which is where the privacy issue comes into play. It says here, now DJI is addressing those concerns in an article which points out that the final say on who should be able to track drones won't be theirs, but the FAA's, having already raised concerns shared by many that the proposed rule is overly complex and burdensome for operators. DJI now calls the drone industry to communicate their fears about privacy, to the correct party, which is the FAA. The NPRM is available at this link, and the FAA's proposed regulation specifically requires that the location of the control station of the unmanned aircraft system must be generated and encoded into the message. I'm not going to read that entire quote. It gets a little technical. But essentially, that's the biggest concern. And I kind of wish Gary was in here because I know that he's been burning to add his comments. Maybe he'll come in a little bit later. But essentially, the video goes on to describe that essentially that's what the general public is going to have access to. So I am not opposed. I was telling you, Steve, that when I fly at least my video drones, my photo drones, that I really don't fly them anywhere where it's illegal. So I don't care about, that kind of restriction. But this really does make it wide open for the general public to know where I am and know that I'm not home. I mentioned that concern before.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's just a complete, I don't care if the FAA knows where I am. I don't care if the FAA knows where my drone is. I care about anybody who's got an app on their phone being able to track what I do and what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I think it's a complete breach of privacy.
Yes. Now, they say to a third party who are going to handle it. That sounds very shady,
yes.
Right? Because I know of numerous examples where smart technology, games consoles, whatever, with their sort of voice recognition technology and things like that. It's not actually them that handle it or them that did handle it for these specific cases, but it was a third party, and it turns out that the third party could do whatever they want with that information, basically. There was a case last year, actually, of Xbox, the Xbox One. When you say Xbox on and all that, is voice activated, there was a case where people were actually like, well, it goes to a third party and whatnot, and it turns out there was a whistleblower from the third party that said, we could listen in on people, and people's concerns were right because, it was always on listening to what they were saying, waiting for key words. So, yes, it does happen. And also the Samsung smart TVs, this was a couple of years ago, with their, on and change channel and all that lot, did the exact same thing. The information went to a third party. Not only that, but the third party could actually turn the camera on the smart TV and the microphone. Really? As long as it was connected to the internet, they could turn the camera on and the microphone on your smart TV and watch you in your own living room, and you wouldn't even know, right? So whenever I hear of third parties dealing with data, and I mean drones capturing videos, sometimes audio, your location, via GPS for your controller and your drone. If that's being handled by a third party, let's just hope it's being handled professionally, right?
Well, I mean, the fact that you're connected to the internet is the concern, because we had that story a few weeks ago where if you're connected to the internet, you're hackable. I mean, you're wide open.
Yes.
And that bothers me greatly as well. So it's not. I don't think it's as secure as they think it's going to be.
No.
Nor do I think they care. You know what I mean? It's not. This is. They're just doing what they want to do to minimize those of us who want to do this. I think they would be so happy if drones were outlawed and that they wouldn't even have to do this. But it's what they're going towards, making it difficult for the general hobbyist.
Yeah, it would be much easier for them just to ban the whole lot. They would like absolute control with any sort of governing body or government or group of people who think that they are the powers that be. Absolute control is what they're always seeking. Everybody's personal liberties and freedoms, and the personal sort of right to remain anonymous, for pretty much anything as long as you're not committing a crime. Now, last time I checked, flying legally with a drone's not committing a crime, so why would it need to transmit to everybody into like a public database that anyone could access? It is going to create like a wild west of criminals going around in sort of like on the outskirts of big cities and everything, and robbing people who are flying completely legitimately, because the people from the other side of the country could look it up essentially. So if you've got like say a car 10-mile radius, I mean, you can be 10 miles away in like 5 minutes if you do it right, and catch whoever's flying. You just go there, wouldn't you? Hope they're on their own, and then especially if they're wearing FPV goggles. I mean, I don't know how it's going to affect that. I mean, that's the main concern for you at the minute, Mark, right?
Well, I mean, it would. I mean, to be fair, it would force us to make sure we had a spotter there, so we weren't alone doing it, which is the way it should be done. But still, there's that one off where you just want to take it up, test fly it, and next thing you know, you got somebody who's getting ready to, dare I say, lamp you.
Yeah, getting lamped over your drone. Yes. Now, okay. Do we have any more to add to that for the minute, Mike?
Not really. It's just a good story that we need to pay attention to. Yeah. Again, to be fair, I think that it's a move in the right direction in terms of not making people who currently have drones retrofitting them with equipment that might be too expensive. Drone to phone, hooks you to the internet and they can track you. But if it was only the FAA, yes. I get it. But and not only that, I don't know what this third party is going to do, but somebody's going to have to pay for this, and it might be the end user, which would be the drone operator, to be able to upload this information to the internet and stuff, and somebody's got to pay for it. The FAA is not going to do it.
No, no, no. It's all right creating rules, but enforcing them, that shouldn't come out of their pockets. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah,
God
you
forbid,
know,
they actually meet the drone community halfway. But
yeah,
no, it's all going to be it's all going to be on the hobbyists and
yeah.
the people who are flying it for deliveries and such. They don't care. They're gonna be making money if this goes over, and that's what the FAA is trying to do, is to control the air so that businesses have access to it before the general hobbyist. So they'll pay, but they're going to be making money. I'm not making money when I'm flying my drone.
Mm.
They're going to be making money so they can afford it. So why don't you tax the crap out of them so this technology can be, how shall I say, enforced? But no, they're going to make everybody else pay for it, as always.
Such is the way,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Similar in the UK now, the £9 registration fee every year. That's nothing but a money spinner. Now,
That's it.
yeah, I remember the sort of the way they legitimised the £9 registration, everything. They estimated that something like 250,000 drone flyers had registered, and they was disappointed, the CAA, because there was only like 30,000 people that registered. So obviously their stats are way off,
Mm-hmm.
by a factor of about, I don't know, 8 or 9, right? But then again, there'll be people who've, because it came out in the winter during the bad months. A lot of people like myself are waiting until the weather gets better before we even think about it. So then you sort of, I'm not flying out there. It's gale force winds today. I was out with Kev today. I know he's out tonight. He might not be in the chat, but I was out with him today, and it's blowing a gale. Nearly blew me over once, And
Oh,
I'm
geez.
not small, right? It nearly blew me over, right? So I don't know if anyone's flying in that weather, you know, bad gales, 60 mile an hour, some of them. Yes, I'm waiting until the weather gets better. We've had nothing but storms for like 2 or 3 weeks now, right? Yeah, yes, but that is terrible. Now, I remember, blooming out, Sean from Geeks Varna, he came in and he said that there's going to be something similar in the UK,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
along them lines. Now, I have been sort of looking into that, but nothing's final yet. But I think the US, when that comes in, I think that'd probably be used as a template to see whether it's effective or not. But we'll
Canada's
see.
think, and Canada's think about doing it too.
Yeah.
So
Well, Canada's already got strict drone laws, haven't they?
stricter, yes,
Yeah.
but there's no reason why they won't follow suit and do the same thing. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
I'm right in thinking, that in Canada you can drink a full beer and then drive home. But if you've had any drop of alcohol and you fly a drone, it's illegal.
Oh yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
and marijuana's legal there too. So
Yeah, yeah. So what's the rules on smoking and flying then?
yeah, good question. EBR just popped in. How you doing, sir?
EBR FPV, hello there. Yeah, okay. I think we've just hashed that one out fairly well,
Yes,
Matt.
yes, we did.
That took less time than I thought it would actually.
Yeah, I did. But
Yeah.
everybody keep an eye on it, and we'll see how it goes. Hello,
Yeah,
Cryptid.
Cryptid, hello there. Long time no see. I hope you're well. I was just talking about possibly doing a one-off tinfoil hat show at some point. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. I'm sure you might just be. Just a one-off, because I've got a whole lot of new conspiracy theories. So.
Well, based on his icons with the alien and the spaceship, something tells me he would be.
Yes. New conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So, thumbs up on that one.
Yeah, I might just have to start the show on Wednesday with a tinfoil hat, I think, just for a laugh. Right?
Oh,
You never
okay.
know
I'll
where it's
start.
going to go.
Never know.
Yeah. So, just a real quick one then. Last Wednesday, we talked about the manned drone, right? And that was all like a promotional thing for a game that's just come out called DCL. I can probably bring the article back up just to recover it because, Mark, you have actually purchased the game since then.
Yes, I did, and I've been hammering it pretty good the last few days. Sure.
Yes, and I would. One second, let me just find that link because I need to find it. Yeah, that's the one, right? So let me just put the screen share on me for a second there. We covered this story last Wednesday on my channel for the regular Wednesday night show, and that was the world's first manned aerobatic drone shown pulling loops and rolls. That's the drone there, and a person can sit in it, they just don't control it, which is worrying. But that's the sort of manoeuvres it does. I know I'm not going to get hammered for showing a GIF image, a GIF image, GIF, whatever. And that's what it does. And it was to promote a game called DCL, which is a drone racing game for PC. Mark's been playing it. I had a little go myself as well. But yeah, what do you think of that, Mark? Because we did actually say we're going to have to check that game out. I just wanted a quick roundup of what you think of the game.
Well, first and foremost, if you look at the drone that they're flying, it is modeled after the drone you start out with, in the game, the generic drone. And if you have the paid version, you can improve it, change the look, the abilities, the performance and such. So they've done a good job, really trying to promote this game by actually. The only difference is that's got 12 props when you think about it. But it's fashioned after the quad they have, and I like it a lot. I mean, I've tried most, if not all, the more popular simulators out there. You've got Freerider, you've got Liftoff, you've got DRL, you've got Velocidrone, now you've got DCL. And I got to say, out of the 5 of them, Velocidrone is still my favorite because it's much more. How should I say? You can configure it to fly like a drone as close as possible to the real thing. You don't have the same capabilities, but I think the tracks and the flying, and I think the graphics and the music is even better too. I gotta say, I like the music they pipe through it. And it's really about competition. Can you do and practice freestyling on it? Sure you can. You can use all the tracks, but it's really meant for racing so far, from what I could tell. And they're even having tryouts. So if you do the online version, you can click on tryouts, and basically they run you through courses. And the idea is to improve your time, and eventually you may qualify to actually compete in the actual race where you can make money with this thing. So I've been trying those. I mean, I'm not close to the leaders, but I've been shaving my time off every now and then. But it's I'm thinking about doing. You had a good idea, Steve. I think I might do a live stream where I'll showcase it like I did Velocidrone, where people can take a look at it and see me fly and crash and race and stuff, and let you get an idea of what it looks like. It's right now it's only $25, I believe, off of Steam, and it gives you full internet capability, which means you'll be able to race with other people. I don't know. I haven't looked at its capabilities yet as far as doing a private lobby where you can have races with your friends, but right now it seems like most people go on there and they're just racing, whether they're racing themselves with the computer or they're trying out the competition, the tryouts. But it's right now I don't think you can configure the number of laps. Like, that's what I liked about Velocidrone. You can either do 1 lap on a track or 2 or 3. This one, it is what it is, and I think that's why they designed it such, because they want you to be consistent if they're going to try to decide who's going to be part of the competition. But right now, I do like it. I got to say, I like it better than Liftoff, Freerider, and it's a good competitor for DRL, which is I believe the United States version. I think this is out of Europe, isn't it, Steve?
It's Europe based, yeah.
Yeah, so it's DCL and DRL I'll call them cousins of each other, so to speak. But it's fun. I'm enjoying it. So maybe in a couple of weeks I might just do a stream where people can watch and see what it looks like, and then decide whether they want to buy it or not. But it's good. I like it.
Yeah, and from what I saw, the graphics are pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad. It took me a while to get used to how to chase the gates and locate the gates. Based on the way, like with Velocidrone, for me, maybe it's just because I'm used to it. I can find the next gate fairly easily. This one here, I had a hard time tracking where the next gate was, but I'm getting used to it, and it's just a learning curve. But it reacts, and you can use your own controller. By the way, I use my Tyrannus QX7 on it, so you're not flying with a game controller. You can if you'd like, but if you're going to try it, I always recommend using an actual flight controller that you would use if you're into FPV, and I hooked my Tyrannus to it, and it seems to react well. It hooks up real nicely. And geez, I think when I downloaded it, Steve, I had
Mm.
the thing maybe 5-10 minutes running off my controller, and we were off. I was,
Yeah,
it interfaces nicely.
just
So
like plug and play, wasn't it? It was good.
yeah. It'd be nice if they did what Velocidrone does. Velocidrone allows you to download for free and get to try it, and then of course not all the features are unlocked until you buy the full blown one. But that's still even there. That's still the best price because Velocidrone is still $20 for the full blown version,
Mm.
where this one's $25, and I think it's on special at $25.
Yes. Okay, fair. I just wanted to mention that, Mike, because
Oh no, no problem, man, no problem.
yeah, EBR says Roland started sim flying. I hope it'll get him going for FPV. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he's been working on it. EBR. Do you know what sim he's using? I'd be curious.
yes. Fair enough.
So if you can answer that, that'd be great. And I wish him well. I know he started doing it. It's not easy, and sims are I think, a viable. They work for me. I can only say they work for me. I can't say it's a guarantee, but it's a viable alternative to getting into FPV and crashing your first few drones and spending lots of money on repairs.
Yes. Okay.
So,
Well, I've just put that GIF back on, just to show you that you'd actually sit in that. I just wanted to cover it again because it is pretty remarkable. You sit in that, and someone on the ground remote controls it.
Yeesh.
And while doing that maneuver, it wasn't actually a person in the drone; it was a dummy. But it does have the capability to do that to a human, right? So anyway, right, on to the next story, Mark. Yeah, you happy with that?
yeah, I'm happy with
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I'm happy with
Right,
that.
so my first actual story of the night, is from a Singapore news website. I'm just going to paste that in. There we go. Channel News Asia. There we go. Man fined for flying drone over LRT. I'm assuming that means like light railway or something like that, to take footage of trains. This is the dude. Singapore, a man who illegally flew a drone over an LRT station to take videos and photos of trains was fined $5,000, or Singapore $5,000, on Friday, February the 21st. Yeah, light rail transit, yeah. The 19-year-old full-time national serviceman flew his drone over pedestrian walkways with human traffic and over the train tracks at Sengkang LRT station before a train crashed into it. So a train actually smashed this drone up. I shouldn't laugh. Homan Wong, now 21 and a part-time food delivery rider, pleaded guilty to one count of operating a unmanned aircraft outdoors in a manner likely to endanger the safety of people and property. A second charge of doing so without a relevant permit was taken into consideration for sentencing. The court heard that Wong flew a drone on February the 8th, 2018, so that's quite a long time ago, but the news has just come out, for about 40 minutes at an open field next to the station. He did this without getting the relevant permit from the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, which would have required him to comply with safe operating conditions. These include ensuring that the drone does not interfere with public transport providers and obtaining clearance from the Republic of Singapore Air Force to ensure that the drone's flights did not interfere with operations. After flying his drone up to 50 metres high, Wong flew it over the train tracks to take aerial videos and photos of train entering and leaving the station. While it was above the tracks, it became low on battery and it landed on the tracks where it was struck by a train. He approached station staff to retrieve his drone and managed to get it back. There was no damage to the train or disruption to the train, said Deputy Public Prosecutors Houston Johannes and Gabriel Chun. Wong then posted a video of the incident on YouTube. After the video was circulated online, SBS Transit, which operates Sengkang LRT, made a report to the CAAS. The prosecution had asked for a fine of at least $5,000, saying significant harm could potentially have been caused with a risk of danger to people and property. Also risk disrupting train operations, blah, 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 and aerodrome operations at Seletar Airport and Paya Lebar Air Base. Alarmingly, the drone had actually been struck by a train, creating the risk of it being punted into commuters and causing injury or even causing derailment, they said. Combined with the earlier danger posed to pedestrians, the accused conduct presented a significantly elevated risk to persons and property. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to paraphrase a bit. There is quite a lot of information to get through there. Blah, blah, blah. He agreed with the prosecution that a fine was appropriate, noting that the drone had landed on tracks and was hit by a train. It's clearly not of an amateur grade, and he could have been fined up to 20,000 Singapore dollars for his offence. Although I don't know the conversion rates on Singapore dollars. Mark, if you'd like to give it a quick look up, that'd be absolutely fine. But
I already did. I have that ready. It's just over $3,500 in US.
Okay, so it's significant then. Okay, so all right, Mark. What's your thoughts on that? There's a bit to take in, but we can recover a bit.
First of all, I get the idea. I don't like the idea that they consider that the train could punt it into people. Let's face it, if a Mavic Air was flying and collided with a locomotive, I think it would disintegrate, not be punted.
Yes.
Yeah, and if Singapore better look at their train system, because if a Mavic's going to take out a multi-ton locomotive, they better get new rail systems.
Yeah, the risk of derailment is a bit of a stretch, in my opinion.
You think so? Yeah. I don't think it's just pure fantasy thinking that a drone's going to hit a train and get knocked into a crowd of people where they're going to get hurt. I mean, that's no more so than striking a bird or anything else that could be thrown into. I mean, a bird could probably get punted. It's a bit more squishy, and I'm sure it'll bounce a lot more than a Mavic would. But to punt a drone, I mean, seriously, you fly an Inspire into a locomotive, I'm sorry, it's not going to go hundreds of yards in the opposite direction. It's going to literally shatter like a piece of glass. Just like that one did on the airplane, the one that you showed that one time.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't actually find that clip anymore, but I will hunt it down. Mad Kiwi, hello there, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Saturday night, which is full of lovely, horrible weather in the UK as usual. Yes. Well,
that's a conspiracy. They took that video down because it doesn't support the argument that drones are bad. So of course they're not. Yeah. So why would they put that on there? Because they were hoping.
Bear in mind, this guy was flying in a field nearby, and he probably thought, "Oh look, I'll just have a little fly over there," and then he's not realised his batteries run low. So it's obviously got to be some sort of DJI drone if it's auto landing or something like that. Because if you made a drone yourself, it'd be hard to program that in. Don't get me wrong, it's not impossible. But yeah, it's obviously flown it there, and then he's realised his drone's gone down, and then he's gone and asked for it back. Now his real mistake is posting the footage online. That's what's got him in trouble. Now, if he hadn't have done that, he would have been long gone. He wouldn't have been prosecuted, because it would have just been some guy. He could have been anyone. Could have said, "Oh, I did have permission to do there, and it went out of control. It landed on the track or something."
Right.
You come up with something and then get your trash drone and get the hell out of there, right? And then that's it. No foot. Keep the footage for yourself by all means, but don't be posting that online. I mean, that's just oh my god.
Oh Lord.
Oh dearie me, you're flying illegally and then you put it online. Oh my god, that's just asking for trouble, right?
It's not asking; it's begging. Please come after me, please.
Isn't it? Like, watch what happens when my drone gets hit by a train.
Yeah.
Where it shouldn't have been flying around commuters. Oh, dearie me, guys.
Well, to be honest, he asked for it. No sympathy, I guess, but still, we do try to promote proper drone flying on this channel. So I do believe here in the States it's technically illegal to fly above trains and such. I mean, I know people do it; they shouldn't, but you should be staying away from rail yards and stuff, because there are security issues in some areas for that kind of stuff. So
there's security issues in most areas for that kind of thing. Just one bit of advice: even when you're flying legally, sometimes you're not quite sure what the boundaries are of things and whatnot. I'm not talking about airports and that's all geofence. But if you're not sure, don't do it. And for two,
Yeah.
if you do fly and then afterwards you think that might not have been quite right, don't post the bloody footage online, right?
If you're not sure, don't do it.
Yeah, that's just basically saying, "Come get me," innit? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Here's your evidence. Come get me, right? You've just provided them with everything they need to bust you, right? Oh dear
Yeah.
me! And it's not a simple case of, "Oh, I'll just remove the video if it starts getting backlash." People will clip your video. They'll get your video and they'll have versions of it for themselves. So, for one, don't fly illegally. For two,
Right.
if you do, don't post it online if you want to
Right.
avoid trouble. Yes. I'm just being honest. There we go.
Yeah, Mad Kiwi says you can't fix stupid.
He probably thought, oh yeah, that'll get some clicks. I can probably put some really good thumbnail together of like the drone being hit by the train and then sort of give it a title like "Drone Hits Train, Danger to Commuters," something like that. Like, and then in brackets like "The worst happened," right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like proper clickbait title, you know.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
it's got his clickbaits, you know. He's got his clicks, you know. Yeah, so
Crazy.
it worked. He got his clicks, so that's all
Did
good.
it say if he had to take the video offline, or I don't remember you saying anything. Do you remember if they mandated that he remove it from YouTube or anything?
It doesn't mention it. I gave it a read through. It doesn't mention anything like that. But I'm pretty sure just to avoid any further embarrassment is remove the video. But somewhere out there that video will still exist. So let me do some sleuthing and I'll see if I can find that video. Yes. I did have a little look and I couldn't find it, but I'm sure it will show up somewhere. So
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Any final thoughts on that, Mark?
Nope.
Okie
Nope.
dokie. Right, I'll switch back to your screen share then. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so this one here is kind of just relatively new. It was reported on Fox 8 U.S. News channel here, and it's Florida surfer uses drone to capture awe-inspiring views of sharks right after he got out of the water. Now, if you click on it, again, I won't do it, but let me put the link in the chat so people can do that as I discuss this. Let's see, post takes. There you go. There's the link, and you might want to have a look at the video. And it's similar to other news reports I've seen here in the States, but instead of a helicopter taking the footage, it's a drone. It says here, New Smyrna Beach, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in Florida. A Florida surfer didn't realize just how many sharks were swimming around him until he recorded drone video over the beach. Jeremy Johnson, 33, told CNN he was already nervous when he went to get into the water at New Smyrna Beach on Tuesday because he noticed a bunch of fishermen in the area. But the weather and waves were really good, so I decided to go for it, he said. I ran out and jumped on my board. When I got shin deep water and paddled super slowly with just my hands because I was scared of how many sharks there were. He said he only surfed for just a little bit before getting out of the water and launched his drone. At times in the video, a dozen sharks could be seen in the shallow water. I was shocked and amazed, Johnson said, about seeing how many were actually there. I've only ever seen footage like that on Shark Week, which means as a surfer, he must have his head buried in the sand, no pun intended, because there's a lot of videos about this kind of stuff. And I've always dreamed of getting a clip like this, especially since the shark bite since we're the shark bite capital of the world. Blacktip sharks are very common in New Smyrna Beach, so common that experts call the area the shark attack capital of the world. The International Shark Attack File estimates that anyone who has been swimming there has been within 10 feet of a shark. And then they go on to report certain injuries that have been caused by sharks. Now, this is something that I don't know if people realize this, and I'm not here to cause panic, especially if you like swimming at beaches and such. But at any point in time, people don't realize there are sharks, and maybe this is an opportune time to discuss this. Having been a scuba instructor for many years and diving, I don't do it anymore because of some back issues. But I've been diving for 17 years, and 7 of those years I was an instructor, and so I've seen tons of these videos. Down in Florida, people are swimming all the time, and helicopters will take shots of the beach and will not post it because they don't want people to panic. There will be sharks swimming in and out of people all the time, and this is what I want everybody to understand. Human flesh is not a desired treat for sharks. Now, are sharks dangerous? Not necessarily. They are unpredictable. Of course, you've got the aggressive sharks and such, and it's going to happen. But the statistics are very low of likelihood of being bitten by a shark or eaten by a shark for that matter. Human flesh is not the desired treat. Generally speaking, snorkelers and surfers are the ones who get attacked because they're silhouetted on the surface, and most sharks will identify that as a silhouette of their favorite snack, which is a seal or sea lion. So usually, most of the attacks are due to how should I say, misidentification on the part of the shark, and yeah, they'll bite you, and unfortunately, at that point, the damage is done. Does that mean a shark won't continue? No, I can't say that, but they don't seek out human beings. If you're standing in the water, you're not their usual target. And again, I'm speaking about based on statistics and animal behavior. People don't panic. They don't stop going to the beach because I'm saying this. But yeah, you can see this all the time. In fact, they don't want people to realize that that's happening because they're going to feel that they don't belong in the water, which is not true. Let's face it. I don't want to be attacked by a shark. I've been in the water with sharks, and I've been close to them in diving situations. And if anything, when I try to capture video or pictures of sharks, I can't even get close to them. The closer I get, the faster away they swim from me. So I'm there's all kinds of myths or all kinds of anecdotes and tactics of dealing with sharks. Show aggression and they'll turn away, and some of that is definitely true. But I just find this interesting that this surfer is amazed that this is the way it is. If you're a surfer, you know about this. And you're always on the lookout for it. So I think he's sensationalized this, and of course the news does this as well. And they really paint a poor picture of sharks. I think that, like other breeds of animals, like pit bulls and stuff, I think they have a bad reputation because of the few instances that people do get hurt. And we don't do it any justice. What is it? Shark Week on the Discovery Channel, I think is the worst thing ever because they always bring in the sensationalized dangers of sharks when those are far and few in between. I don't think they do the reputation of sharks any good. So I'm sorry about going on to my little rant about the public service announcement here, but I think sharks get a bad rap when it comes to this kind of stuff. But they're amazing creatures, and I think the video is kind of cool, but it's not to be feared or to change your ideas about swimming in the water. And I'm done.
Yeah. Is it true that if you're in the water and a shark comes swimming towards you, that the best thing you can do is just like punch it right in the nose?
No, you stay still.
Actually, it is showing aggression like any other animal. I mean, lions, tigers, any other man-eating. I say man-eating, or aggressive animal. Yeah. They don't want to work hard for their food. Mm-hmm. That's why they always pick out the weakest link in the pack. They want to go for the easy kill, if they can. So if you show aggression, and there's video, and if I can find it, I'll definitely share the link. There are a couple of free divers, basically scuba divers, not scuba, but they wear fins and snorkels and such, and they dive deep, and they go swimming with great white sharks all the time. Mm-hmm. And there's one video. Now this takes a set to do it because I don't think I could do it. But in this one scene, the guy's swimming, and the dorsal fin of a great white is behind him, and it's following him, and he got the signal from his mate on his boat saying, shark behind you. So what did the diver do? He literally did a 180 and swam directly. Like I said, takes a real set on you to do this. Swam directly at the great white shark. Mm-hmm. And within 10, 15 feet of it, the great white turned around and went the other direction. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't going to punch it. He was going right at it. So the shark knew that he was detected and didn't want to have to fight for his food. Now, is that a guarantee? I'm not going to say. I'm not a shark expert, but based on the statistics, there's a likelihood. And to be fair, let's be honest. If you're going to try to swim away from a shark, now I heard Lauren say, stay still. That's better than swimming away, because if you're swimming away, that you're showing that fight or flight response, they may keep coming after you because they fear, they know that you're afraid of it, so they don't think it's going to be much of a fight. But if you show the aggression or you show that you're not afraid, then you're less likely, I'll say, to be attacked. But let's face it, though, if you're in the water and you're swimming towards a boat and there's a great white behind you, logic, not human behavior taking over here, but logic dictates you're not going to make it back to the boat. The shark is going to catch you. Okay. So the question is, do you want to see it coming or not? So if I had the nerve, can't say that I would I turn around and face a great white and swim at it? I don't know if I could. I don't know if I'd have the nerve to do it. But let's face it, facing it and going at it, you're less likely, based on statistics, from being struck by the shark than trying to make it back to the boat in time, because it's going to swim faster than you.
Yeah.
So,
So
it's crazy. It's a hard thing to put yourself in that position and understand whether you could do that or not. But yeah, that's a lot of research has suggested that not necessarily punching or attacking it, but showing that you're less likely to be afraid and swim away can improve your chances of not being struck by that shark. It's crazy. It's crazy. It defies all logic when you think about it, doesn't it? But
yeah. So a fairly good piece of advice then is, if you're being chased by a great white in the water, turn straight at it, straight head on, and try and punch it in the nose. Right?
because Mark Centroid said I should do it, right?
Yeah. Like, you get that one flat. I was watching this live stream, and that's what they said. So, like, fight or flight, the fight kicks in. He just darts straight towards it and bam, right in the nose.
Well, it's funny. It reminds me of a story when I first started getting into diving, long before I became an instructor. I had a guy who I got trained with, and we became pretty good buddies when it came to diving. We dove a lot together, and he bought this huge dive knife. It looked like something out of Crocodile Dundee. You would strap that to his leg. And I bought this little tiny knife that I had on my equipment, and he goes, well, why such a small knife? I said, the knife is a tool. It's not a weapon. You're not using it to attack anything. I don't need a big, heavy knife like you got. He goes, well, that's not going to do anything to a shark. I said, well, first of all, neither is yours. I don't care how big your knife is. He goes, if anything, you're just going to piss it off. He goes, well, what's the point of having that knife? I said, it's easy. And this, because I used to call him my chum. We'd be swimming together, and finally he caught on to it. He goes, well, what's the purpose of the knife then? I said, well, if we're being attacked by sharks, I'm going to take my little knife out and I'm going to stab you with it and swim away. I said, the point is not to outswim the shark. You just have to outswim your buddy, and you're good.
And it'd be the perfect crime. It'd be the perfect crime, because the shark could eat the evidence.
Yes, absolutely. So.
Oh, crikey. No, that's funny. Like, dude, swim right at it and punch it in the nose.
So when I used to refer to him as chum, and then you realize, if anybody doesn't know, that chum is usually the scraps of meat they throw in the water to bait sharks into the area. He goes, no, I know why you call me chum. I said, that's right. You're not my swim buddy, you're my swim chum. So, I mean, there are a lot of myths about sharks, and yes, the catchphrase is, as an instructor, we'd always say to students, sharks aren't necessarily dangerous, but they are unpredictable. Case in point, tiger sharks are fairly aggressive sharks, and we were swimming one time. We were doing our little, we went out, we came back, we had a few minutes to kill before we did our safety stop and went back up to the boat, and we're just trolling around under the boat. We're in about 50, 60 feet of water, and this tiger shark literally swam right between us, swam through us. And we both gave the signal. We're like, it's okay. We gave the signal. It kept going. But then a few minutes later, it came back and swam through us again. And we both looked at each other and we're like, okay, dive's over, because now we feel like he's casing the joint, So if he's going to stick around that much, then we don't want to take any chances. We don't want to give him any excuse. And that's why they've actually stopped. I don't know if you knew this. There are a lot of times that they've had these shark feedings where they put you in, I've been on one. They put you in a circle, and they have this icicle, basically they call it chumsicle, that they lower into the water, and they put it in the middle of the circle, and the sharks come and attack that, so you can see the sharks feeding on it. And I saw that, I witnessed it firsthand once, and I said, I'm never going to do that again. And people are like, well, why? I said, because you're actually changing the behaviors of the sharks. They go, what do you mean? I said, well, you're bringing food closer to humans, and these sharks are attacking at it. And sometimes people have been accidentally struck because it becomes a feeding frenzy, and they start biting at anything. And so they've actually made that illegal now, rightfully so, because it brings you too close to the sharks. It changes their feeding habits, and maybe they will change their taste in flesh for all we know. So why mess with it? Observe them in the natural, let them do their thing, and don't disturb them. Let them have their fun, and just be aware of it. Just be aware. So.
Yes. Hello there, Joe Mack. Thank you for joining us. Also, Vanessa Kitty has just joined in the chat as well. So, everyone in the chat, feel free to say hello. And as you know, we're not a support stream, but feel free to check everybody else's channels out. Just throw that in because that's the way that we all grow and get better and meet new people.
Yeah.
Yes, just friendly advice for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's a good story. I'm glad I chose that for this week because we are about drones. This started out as a drone story, but on Saturday nights we get a little relaxed and we can go in any direction with this discussion. So we went into sharks all of a sudden. Go figure. So.
Yes. And now I know what to do in case of a shark attack. Yeah. Yes. Yes. The thing is, around where I live, there's not many sharks. There's no sharks. We occasionally get a whale. That's about it. Yeah. Now and again we get a whale, and it's gone quick enough. You know what I mean? It doesn't like to stick around where we are. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Right. I'll switch over to my story then.
Yep. Sounds good.
So this one is from the Financial Times, and it's actually funny how often Financial Times actually does positive drone news stories. To be fair, I'll just give them credit where credit's due. I've just put the link in the chat there for anybody who wants to check it out on their own time or now or whatever. So scientists look to bees to develop drone technology. UK team hope research will help logistics companies use flying robots for delivery. They're back on this thread of drone deliveries, you know what I mean? Rattletrap Fishing, hello there, I hope you're well. Steve, Curtis. Mac. Yes. Yeah. So British scientists are studying the way bees adapt to their surroundings to develop software which could guide a new generation of sophisticated drones. I think they're trying to develop the old drone swarm, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Release the swarm.
Yeah. EBR says, right now, Mike, you made me want to FPV a shark. So in a presentation to the American Association for the Advancement of Science conference in Seattle on Sunday, Professor James Marshall of Sheffield University demonstrated how he and his team are reverse engineering bee brains to create the drone prototype. In quotes, bees are really consummate visual navigators, he said, that can navigate a complex 3D environment with minimal learning, very robustly using only 1 million neurons in a cubic millimetre of brain. For us, they're at a sweet spot for brain size and intelligence. He said the project, which has had a 4.8 million grant from UK Research and Innovation, the Science Fund Agency, was moving towards commercialisation with the recent establishment of a spin-out company called Opteran Technologies that is raising 1.5 million in seed funding. The researchers are carrying out 2 types of experiment to reverse engineer bee brains, work out how honeybees and bumblebees can reliably navigate over several kilometres, learning the features that will enable them to return to their nest. Just a quick cutaway there. Candybug71, hello, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. Blue wrench for you. I don't know why you don't have one. Whether they're getting removed or not, I don't know, but I'm sure I've given you a blue wrench in the past, or that might have been on Mark's stream. Unknown. Okay. The insects optimise the distances flown from their nest to multiple nectar foraging sites. Bee brains can multitask, adapt to new scenarios and learn very fast, in contrast to typical AI and machine learning systems designed by human engineers. The first type of experiment follows the movements of real bees as they forage by attaching tiny radar transponders to their back. Analysing the bees' flight paths is providing clues to the neural processes that lie behind them. So I'll just scroll back to that image there. That looks like what they're strapping on bees now. Yes, I don't know if they want to do that with an entire hive of bees, because that would be quite time consuming, because there'll be like tens of thousands of bees in one hive. Hopefully I can find back, there we go, yeah. So in quotes, before we can track a bee with radar, we need to attach a small electronic tag to her back, which is easier said than done, said Joe Woodgate of Queen Mary University of London, who leads that part of the project. They're very good at escaping from us, and when we do succeed, they're left holding an angry bee, which isn't always the safest place to be. No, indeed it's not. The second line of research, which will begin soon, will involve inserting a tiny electrode into a tethered bee's brain as it moves around a virtual reality environment in a lab. It's sounding quite futuristic, this now, isn't it, Mark? The scientists can correlate the neural signals with the bee's movements, first walking on a tracker ball and later flying. They're currently training the bees to navigate the VR environment before brain recording begins. We've modelled maybe 25% of the honeybee brain, maybe a touch more. We have bee-like robots which can fly around a lab behaving as a bee would, extracting information from the world. So that's a bit of a strange quote there, don't you think, Mike? We have bee-like robots.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy, yes.
That's worrying. Rather than creating a swarm of bee-sized drone, the team has built larger machines, one weighing 600 grams and the other 250 grams. A bee weighs approximately 1/10 of a gram. So what's really exciting about the 250 gram drone is we're doing all the computation on board. The brain is on there, and that's a real achievement, we think, given how small the drone is. The long-term aim of Opteran is to sell a bee-based AI software and algorithms rather than making the drones themselves. Logistics companies using drones for delivery are potential customers, Mr. Marshall said. Commercial application of the technology is at least 5 years away. In quotes, to have drones flying around a city where if they fall out of the sky there's a high risk of someone being injured or killed, regulators will have to be confident that what you're flying around is safe. So this I found very interesting when I stumbled across this, because we are stepping into a whole avenue of AI-based micro drones. What's your thoughts on this, Matt? I know there's a lot to take in, but put your word on it.
Well, it sounds kind of creepy. I mean, it's pretty impressive that they're reverse engineering a bee's brain. What? That's kind of crazy. It really is. I mean, if it's going to help, with drones and such, I'm all for it. But I'm trying to figure out, I'm looking at the picture, that little antenna seems to be popping out of the bee's back there. So what exactly are they doing? They're just tracking their behavior, or are they actually reading the signals from the brain in that case to understand what's going on?
No, it's actually like a little transmitter, so they can follow all
just flight patterns,
and flight patterns of the bee.
And they have these on a swarm of bees, essentially, like you said, right? So they can see the whole swarm at once. I think it's fantastic, not just for drones, let's say, but for just understanding behaviors of these creatures. I think it's fantastic. So Asgard, what's up, man?
So what they'll actually do is then sort of record the bee its first flight, see where it goes, and then as it learns where the food sources are, learn how it then adapts its route to streamline the process of gathering food. Which is interesting in itself, but then actually creating an AI based on that and putting bees in virtual reality environments and things on movement tracking software and stuff is pretty out there. The UK is known for some like cutting edge research in certain fields, sometimes a bit wacky as well. And I mean, this one sounds a bit wacky, but I mean, if they're creating an AI that's going to be doing stuff like that, then that's incredible stuff. And I was really interested in that. Now, if you take a slight conspiracy theory route, as we're going to go down in a minute, there's that video of the killbots, Mark. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
Now, imagine them killbots. Now, for anybody who hasn't seen the video, it's basically these micro drones are about this big. And what they do is they'll be released in a huge swarm, possibly from like a big cargo aeroplane or something, over a city. And it'll be pre-planned with, everybody's like possibly criminal records, and any misdemeanors, and people of interest and whatnot, and these can be like loaded to literally facially identify people, and they fly directly at the head, and they've got a little explosive charge, and just as they hit the head, they explode to kill the person. Now but the size of bees. It's getting sillier and sillier. Yes, now I think I might be speaking a little bit crazy there, but people have always looked for that wonder weapon, haven't they?
Yeah.
And for example, World War Two, there was all sorts of research going on by both sides. The weapon that could just kill all the enemies you didn't like and leave the rest of the population all right, and things like that. Now, as sort of like national security interests and all this lot and terrorism and blah blah blah, this is the sort of thing that governments want, right?
Yeah.
And a weapon that is like them killbots, that's the size of a bee, potentially the size of a bee, is going to be, incredibly useful. And I'm willing to bet if that's what's being made mainstream news, imagine what they've got in secret, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And 4.8 million in funding is not a lot compared to what some countries have in like black budget funding,
Right.
where it's completely off the books, unaccounted for funding in the billions, if not trillions, of whatever currency. You know what I mean? Yes, and there is giant holes in countries' budgets where they are developing military technology of that caliber. So don't think I'm just speaking crazy. You'll see I reckon in about 10 years maybe, there is going to be the swarm of killbots weapon, because it's so cheap and easy. You could wipe out half a city once you've created the AI, centrally controlled, so each drone doesn't need a super chip on it. You just have one central AI controlling them all with a facial database, and then the drone on site can decide whether that target needs eliminating or not. And you can't avoid it. It just flies, super fast right into your head and explodes. Right now, that does sound incredible, but there's already concepts and everything of these weapons. So I'm willing to bet. Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, essentially what you've created is the smart bullet. That's all it is a flying smart bullet, and it tracks and homes in and then just targets and kills.
Yes.
Crazy.
Would you like to put a link into that Killbots video, just so people don't think I'm crazy, Mark?
Do you have the link? Because I don't have the link.
Yeah, okay. Darwin Digital, hello, buddy. I hope you're well. Yes,
I'll look for it.
Yes. And I know Asgard Studio's been in for a bit. I did say hello in the chat, but hello, mate. I was just getting on to my next point there. I hope you're well, mate. It's been a while since I've seen you, actually. I really hope you're well. So, yes, indeed. That is very, very interesting stuff. And I really like that story. UK team with some cutting-edge research, what's not to love for me. It's all stuff I like. So, yes. Would you like another story, Mark?
I have one if you want me to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to roll a little bit longer if you are.
Yeah, we can do that. So
Okay.
if you're ready to share, that'd be great.
There we go.
We can copy that. Okay, and I'll paste this into the chat. Now, this is a slightly older story, so I apologize for that, but it goes to something that you've done. And again, if you want to throw the link to that video, your simulator video, and being able to identify drones, which I highly recommend anybody do, go and look at that. Steve did a great job with it. This one here says, as drone encounters rise, study shows visibility concerns. Now, this goes, and they did some research on the ability to view and spot a drone, and I found it interesting. The big difference is whether or not the drone is just hovering versus flying. It says here, an airborne human factors experiment conducted by researchers from Oklahoma State University and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University concluded in a recent published study that certified pilots failed to see a common type of quadcopter during approach to runways, and in most cases could never detect motionless drones. This is a study that is saying they can't be seen or very difficult to see, yet we hear pilots saying they see drones all the time. In the testing, skilled pilots usually could see small unmanned aircraft systems encroaching on their airspace in 12 out of 40 encounters, or only 30% of the time, and when the drones were motionless, only 3 out of 22 were spotted by the pilots. Drones were detected at distances between 213 and 2,324 feet. Now, what were some of the distances that some of these pilots claimed they saw drones off into the distance?
Some of these pilots have claimed they've seen drones like many, many kilometres away.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so now we're talking about not even be able to see them within 2,000 feet. Yet you're talking about 10,000 feet, 4,000 feet. Ridiculous. These findings, published in the International Journal of Aviation, Aeronautics, and Aerospace, illustrate a real and growing threat. Now, I understand that that is a threat if you're that close, if the drone is that close to the plane, but the pilots don't see them. And I think there's a big distinction there we need to make sure, because we hear about all these drone sightings, yet are they really being identified correctly as drones? It says the research examined what happens as a pilot prepares to land and switches from instrument guided flight to visual sight. Pilot participants were selected from a collegiate flight training program. During the experiment, pilots conducted an approach to landing in a the Cessna now. Now we're talking about nothing that flies like a 747 or the speeds there, which while a DJI Phantom 4 a quadcopter type drone flew a scripted series of maneuvers along the approach path. Pilots were told that they might or might not encounter a drone. Dangerous close encounters between aircraft and drones are becoming an increasingly common problem. Well, are they? That's the question. Because how are they if they can't see them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's some really weird things going on in this article. Statistics on pilot sightings of drones continue to increase year over year, and what is being reported by pilots is probably just the tip of the iceberg. The vast majority of the time, unmanned aircraft are not being seen by pilots. So this story almost contradicts itself the way I'm
It
reading it.
does. Yes.
And it makes no sense. They're saying it's a problem because there are more drones flying in airspace, but how would they know if they can't see them? I don't get it. It's just totally contradictory. An aircraft final approach for landing is an especially risky time for a drone encounter because it can catch you unaware and have little time to react, explained Dr. John M. Lofi, Associate Professor of Aviation and Space at Oklahoma State. And I can go on and on and on, but I just found this to be a fairly interesting article in the sense that, like I said, it totally contradicts the danger. They say that they don't see drones, but they're there. I don't get it.
No. Now, I have provided a link to my drone visibility simulation video. If you want to check that out, it was done in Microsoft Flight Simulator with all different aircrafts, all different speeds, with a Mavic-sized drone, just a bit smaller than a Phantom, but about the same, but it's darker, so it's easier to see on the sky anyway. With the closest analog to what would be like a mainstream drone, the Mavic Pro is like your go-to drone these days for most people, for price, compactness, capabilities, battery life, all them sort of things. So I use that as an analog. And Mark, it is extremely difficult to see a drone approaching, even when doing the micro light test, which is only about 70 miles an hour. Still, if you wasn't looking for a drone, you wouldn't see one even go by very close, just because of how quick you go by it.
Yeah, and I think that, to be honest, again, the big difference, what you're doing is the ability not only to see it, but to be able to identify it as an actual drone, and that's the concern. If somebody spots something out of the corner of the eye and they fly by it, immediately it's a drone. There's no way to, especially in this, either you don't see it, or if you see it, it's for a split second, and the only reason why you'd say it was a drone is because they told you it was a drone.
Yes,
that
exactly.
would be flying that.
Yeah. So Dad Random says drones are a rarity. It's not like you see drones every day flying. I haven't seen another drone other than mine for over 2 months, which is interesting. You go to certain places around where I am, and you see a drone flyer pretty much every time you're there, just because it's the place to go if you just want to practice. You know what I mean? But if you're actually out and about somewhere where you are actually filming a specific location, there's probably not going to be anybody there flying a drone. They're not as mainstream as everybody thinks. You know what I mean? It's only because to us they seem more mainstream because we know a lot of people who fly drones through YouTube. But I mean, the sheer distances between a lot of us is pretty incredible. You know what I mean? So we're few and far between. There's not that many people flying drones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's fewer idiots who are doing the wrong thing with them too. But it just makes it, the mainstream media and these news and the FAA they want you to think there are swarms of drones in the air at all times,
Yeah.
And they're not. They're not. There's no swarm. You're right. Dead random's right. The last time I saw any drone in the air was my drone, and that was
Yeah.
like months ago.
Yeah. 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 The
So
mainstream news would have you believe that there's all sorts of people spying in people's windows, flying near airports, disrupting flights, near misses with aircraft, flying near police stations, all that lot. The people who are doing that, by the looks of things, there's the last few weeks, Matt, every week we've had somebody being convicted in some way of flying where they shouldn't be.
right.
They're not invisible, let's be honest, like to people on the ground or whatever. People aren't flying the way the mainstream media makes them out to be. And what I hate is supposed drone did this, did that, and then you read into it, or it just says near miss with drone. That's the article name, and then you read in, and it's like the supposed drone was this, that, whatever, and one person actually saw it, nobody else, and it's like, what? So it's a non-story. One
With
guy saw what he thought was a drone. I mean, for example, Matt, that story, 30,000 feet, one woman called the police 30,000 feet high once she landed, right, at Heathrow Airport in London, because at 30,000 feet she claimed she saw a drone flying alongside the wing.
Yeah. And what's that?
That made national news. Now,
what's that? 5 to 6 miles away? When you think about it, roughly.
Well, no, 30,000 feet high.
Oh, still
30,000 feet high. Is the atmosphere even thick enough to support a quadcopter?
Well, I'm just looking at direct line of sight. I mean, Dad Random says they won't see my Mavic Mini. I'm sorry, as I can't see mine after about 150 feet.
Yeah.
And you're talking 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Hey, Ed from Love My Drones, how's it going, man?
No,
Thanks for popping.
The story was she was on board the plane at 30,000 feet.
Oh, okay.
On board a jumbo jet and claimed at 30,000 feet, only here on the plane saw it, that a drone was flying alongside a jumbo jet at 30,000 feet.
Oh, okay. I thought
a propeller drone,
that.
and reported it to the police, and it made national news.
That's ridiculous.
Right, that shows how desperate the news is to get these stories in the newspaper.
Anybody would have a brain would say to the woman, "Are you crazy? 30,000 feet? No, it can't be." And that's why news. I used to try to defend the news, and they talk about fake news and all this stuff. They're doing just what they need to do to get their ratings and such. Because back in the day, reporters would actually do some research, some background on that, and say, "Here's what this woman claims she saw, but here are some facts that you need to consider in the process. If it were this kind of a drone flying with propellers with this kind of a battery, the likelihood that it was that it was a drone, very difficult to believe. Again, I think the batteries would discharge. They wouldn't last. It's too cold up there, and it's a prop. An FPV drone at 100 miles an hour couldn't keep up with these jumbo jets, let alone a Mavic.
The cruising speed of a jumbo jet is 500 miles an hour.
Yeah. It ain't gonna happen. And if it does, I want one of those drones.
Yes. And what sort of battery would you need to get that from the ground to 30,000 feet? For two, how would it stay in the air at 30,000 feet with the air being that thin? There's a reason why jumbo jets fly that high, because there's practically very little air resistance up there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and just the fact that if I were to take even my Mavic 2 Zoom, which has a 20 on a perfect conditions, 20 to 30-minute battery life, to get it up to 30,000 feet would all but exhaust the battery. Not to mention what the effect of the cold would have on it. It makes no sense.
Well, the drone news story in that instance was woman spotted drone flying alongside plane, right?
Clickbait.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then when you read into the story, it said, oh, well, this woman this woman saw this and she reported it when she landed. And, the police have no lines of inquiry. They're not doing anything about it. But why make it a giant headline first? So when you share that article with people, this is the thing. You share something on Facebook or any other social media and you get that headline. You don't get any details of the story. You just get the headline. So anyone just scrolling past will see that and they'll go, oh, look, another near miss with a drone. right? You know what I mean? But then
Feed-
you just have to literally click it, and it's a non-story. It's
it
some
feeds the
crazy
myth.
woman seeing things out of an aeroplane window.
Well,
Right?
I got to give credit where credit's due, Steve. You have a wonderful idea. Dash cams on these planes.
Yes,
Dash cams.
yes. Aeroplane companies worldwide, please put dash cams in your planes. Please, nice 4K, 60 frame a second dash cams. We want to see some drone near misses. If you claim that they're that happening all that often, we want evidence because there isn't any.
And what I think would
Right.
be what I think would be hysterical is somebody took you up on their offer and then they tried to record a drone and set it up to see what the near miss would be. They'd see right away that they wouldn't. I don't even think they'd be able to catch a drone from a jumbo jet with a near miss because it would go by so quickly. And if they saw a dot, I bet you even at 4K at 60 frames per second, it's fast enough where they still could not say that was a drone.
Yeah,
It could
now,
be anything flying by that quickly.
if I had a Cessna, right, I would literally, I'd ask somebody I trusted to fly a drone on Cleethorpes Beach at some exact coordinates, because obviously even in a Cessna you've got GPS, at some exact coordinates at 400 feet. I'd fly at 500 and just see how visible that was at just normal cruising speed in a Cessna. Could I even see it? Would that be a good test? I think so. Right.
I think so.
You know,
And
don't get me wrong, I'll have a dash cam. Right.
And they always use the generic DJI Phantom as the staple of all drones that are being spotted. And you know as well as I do, the white is the worst color to make a drone because you can't. It's hard to see white in the sky.
Yeah.
Yet they're claiming they see these things. It's ridiculous, and
Now-
that's standing still.
Yeah. Now, in that simulation test that I did, I made the drone jet black, and even then, it's difficult to see. Right.
Yeah.
And that obviously it's only a simulation for entertainment purposes only, but I scaled it literally to the size of a Mavic. Right. So that's let's look at this Mavic. It's my broken Mavic. Right. But this is how big it is. Right. If you fly that 500 meters away, it becomes invisible. You cannot see it at 500 meters. That's why the law says you can't fly beyond 500 meters, because you just can't see it. There's no visual line of sight. And even then, you've got to watch it as it goes out to be able to keep your eye on it. Otherwise, it is just lost, especially if it's a bright day, because you just get sunblind. But that, can you imagine 500 meters distance? And we did the calculations for this, didn't we, Mark? It was something
Yes,
like
we did.
At landing speeds and takeoff speeds for a jumbo jet. It's all in that simulation video. At 500 meters, you'd have literally a split second. Even if it goes right over the cockpit, you've got a split second to identify what that was in the air. Right? So I'm going to refer to it again. The UK's Airprox board report 250 supposed UK drone near misses with aircraft. Not a single one could be confirmed to be a drone at all. Could have been anything. Could have been pilots seeing things. Could have been a carrier bag. Could have been a balloon. Could have been anything, right? So let's not get too carried away with there's so many drone near misses, with aircraft, because there really isn't.
It's
Canadian
funny.
Drone Hub, Roger.
Hey, Roger,
Thank you
what's
for
up?
joining us. I'm happy we went a little bit longer tonight because
Yeah.
Roger's in. Hello
Yes,
there.
hey, Roger.
Yes. Hello
Yeah,
there. Hello. Yes.
Going
And,
going back to what Dad Random said, that you don't see drones flying overhead all the time. Honestly, no joke. I don't know if they're popular in your country, Steve, but the Mylar balloons, which are the very shiny metallic looking balloons they fill with helium. I've seen more of those in the last 3 months flying overhead than I have drones. Because kid gets it, he lets go of it, and it flies in the air and starts drifting. You spot them more frequently than you do drones. But
Yeah.
you never, they never talk about it being a balloon in the air that they spotted, or why not just say a suspected near miss with a flying object, end of story. Don't classify it as a drone unless you know it. So it's just ridiculous.
Now, one of these Airprox reports was at Manchester Airport, one of the UK's busiest airports. It's in the top 10 anyway. And some pilot claimed, he was like, no, it's a drone near miss. And it came out. It was actually most likely deemed to be a carrier bag blown on the wind.
Yeah.
You know,
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thought. I'm all out of breath on the drone near miss with aircraft thing because I've yet to see like a scrap of evidence that this is happening. You know, and with all the money that aircraft companies and that have got, airlines, somebody somewhere, please put dash cams in your planes, please.
Yes, and everybody
that'll literally dispel everybody, all the rumours and everything. If even one pilot goes, look, I was coming into land and look, there it is, and it's clearly visible for like 5 or 6 seconds or something, and I'll go, I'm sorry, I didn't, I'll apologise, but until then, from what I know, from that simulation as well, I don't think it's possible. You can't see a drone. You'll have half a second.
Now I'm going to ask the chat for a favor here. I think everybody needs to put some clapping hand emojis in there because Steve, you got through that entire rant without saying the G word. I'm really.
Yeah, I didn't say Gatwick once.
Really proud of you.
That's me one pair show. Right.
Yeah, you said it to not say it. That's fair. So everybody, Steve needs a good round of applause for not bringing up the G word through that whole thing. Amazing. Amazing.
Yes. Well, I could have referenced it, but I'm tired now.
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Because it's every freaking airport now. It's not just Gatwick. So.
Yeah. Go on.
No. You go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say my most out of all the live streams and everything I've done, the most popular one I've ever done was while Gatwick was actually happening. And there was nobody in that airport saying we've seen a drone. There was people in the airport watching the live stream saying we don't know what's going on. No one's seen a drone. In the chat, who claimed to be there, right? Yeah. No, and they're claiming that loads of people, over 100 people, have seen drones. Nothing added up about that day. Nothing at all. To this day, the police have now gone cold on the case. They've got no leads. And apparently, while it was going on, there was claiming that there was a whole team of people flying drones. What? The police were on perimeter duty. The police helicopters, the British Army snipers were in, right? Nobody was found at all. No drones, no people, no evidence, nothing.
But what kills me is every supposed near miss with a drone. These articles always reference Gatwick as saying, and this happened in Gatwick. And they had the issue, and they make that as the landmark case against drones. Yet it's been completely disqualified as a drone sighting, and yet people still keep promoting Gatwick as this led the charge against drones, so to speak. Yeah. And EBR took me up on my request. He gave you clapping hands there, Steve.
Thank you, EBR FPV. I gave myself a little clap. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. But thank you for joining in. Yeah.
So, well, that's it for me, Steve. I have no other stories unless you got something you want to share.
We'll do a very quick one, if that's all right, and then we'll call it a day there. You happy with that, Mark?
That's fine, but I do want to comment on Darwin Digital, who just said, in today's mobile world, not a single person had a photo at Gatwick. What a load of bull.
Yes. And the world's media descended on Gatwick as well.
And they didn't have anything.
With all their modern fancy cameras. The Gatwick security cameras caught nothing. 2 police helicopters constantly flying over the airport on rotation with thermal cameras didn't catch any footage of a drone. And the media claimed there was 36 different incidents. Almost 1 an hour.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? No, not to me it doesn't. Right.
Steve, apparently that means most of the population of England is blind then.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you all must all need glasses now because you can't see the drones that everybody else saw.
Yeah. Mass hysteria. That's all it was. Much. And like you say, everyone remembers the headline. Gatwick. I know I keep saying it, I shouldn't do. But no one did any follow-up to find out what happened after that. It's been thoroughly case closed that there was no drones there.
Agreed.
But it's still referenced every single time there's a drone near miss. Every single time as well, last year, drones at Gatwick, 200,000 people affected and, 36 sightings and, what? No. You've not read anything after the main headline, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, don't buy into it. There's no drone near misses near aircraft. Not as many as they're claiming anyway, right? And even then, they're not confirmed to be drones. Case closed for now. Right. Okay, so I will switch over to my screen share and just cover this one really quick. I'll paraphrase as well. So here we go. Last Wednesday, I believe it was on Wednesday, we covered was it the laser, Mark, that we covered on Wednesday, or was that last Saturday?
Which laser?
The drone laser.
Oh, yeah. I think it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it looks like that's the result of that. But Pentagon wants a counter-drone SWAT team ASAP. So I'm taking this as literal, like a literal SWAT team, with probably that laser that we saw on the other week's show. But anyway, the Pentagon wants a counter-drone SWAT team to be put together ASAP by Defence Digital Service to detect, hack, jam and whatever enemy drones with wide potential applications for joint all-domain command and control. So drawing on Defence Department's in-house talent, DDS Director Brent Goldstein has started a form rapid response SWAT teams to counter the threat of small weaponised drones. The small unmanned aircraft are easy to build but hard to detect and have become an outsized threat. Okay, I'm not sure founded on what at the minute, but okay. Exactly how Goldstein is planning to detect and bring down these drones is classified information, but a focus on hacking and jamming the drone control systems instead of physically stopping them is suggested by the team. So, blah, 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 look, yeah. I'm just, I would paraphrase, it's only a short article there. But he says here, look, a fear of mine is there will be a new small unmanned aerial system threat which we don't have the modality to detect and defeat. And that we can put our troops and partners at risk. We're going to use commercial where we can, but instead of letting folks be exposed to a threat, we'll maintain a SWAT team of folks who can immediately respond. That way, when there's a gap and commercial isn't there, if a new threat appears this afternoon in the small UAS space, we will work the problem right now and don't have to wait for something to come up in the commercial space. I don't. So it's essentially at the minute it is built on paranoia, right? Because there's not been any major model sort of, or small hobbyist drone threat that I've even heard of beyond, minor things, nothing that should warrant, getting entire teams of people, as sort of like an immediate, quick reaction alert crew or whatever. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad idea, but it is blowing it out of proportion, I think, you know what I mean? Yeah, work on it, but you don't need to make it mainstream news, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So that's what he wants. What's your thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's to be done with caution, sure. I mean, I'd say have at it, but, I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it. I got nothing.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. I got nothing. So
yeah, EBRFPV says I bet there were some people seeing a drone at Gatwick. Then put a couple of thousands of people at an airport and tell them you're not flying anywhere because there's drones flying around. No, EBRFPV. I will follow up with that. At the same time Gatwick was happening, at Heathrow, they was having computer issues, and it later turned out that Gatwick had also had the new computer systems that Heathrow had installed, and Heathrow grounded flights taking off and landing and whatnot. At the same time, Gatwick was happening in the very same fashion, but they admitted it was a computer fault and had to pay, the compensation for everybody's flights, whereas at Gatwick, they didn't. Nobody got compensated because it was extraordinary circumstances, right? So just take that into account when you think, was it drones? And within a week, a French company had bought a controlling share of 50.01% in Gatwick for many, many billions, an undisclosed sum. But did that factor into it as well? Within 7 days of it happening, who'd want to buy Gatwick after that? Right,
right, exactly.
Surely it would be, we want to buy it. The negotiations are in full swing. Start some clandestine operations there to bring down the price last minute. Use it as a negotiating chip at the table. That's just happened and nothing could be done about it. Tinfoil hat, maybe. I like to read between the lines, and I know these sort of shady backroom deals go on, but that's all allegedly.
Right.
None of this is gospel. This is just my own thoughts. Never mind. So I think that's a good way to round up the show, Mark. Usually we do 1 hour, and we've gone 1 hour and 30 minutes tonight, Mark.
Well, it was more like our Wednesday night show. We were pretty much focused on drones tonight, I got to say, with a few distractions. So, called it bonus stream then. It worked out nicely. So.
Oh, yes. No, I've had great fun tonight. Thank you, everybody, as always, for watching the show. We can't thank you enough. And, I mean, we say this like every show, Mark, really, don't we? That we'd do the show if, like, we had practically no one watching,
Right.
But
it's fun.
Everybody who does watch, you make it really special, because it's like what we're doing, people show up, they watch it, they're commenting, they're enjoying it, and that spurs us on to do it even more and do the research and present the stories that we think you all want to hear and listen to. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely.
We very much appreciate everybody who comes in, even if you don't say hello, just pop in, drop a like or something, leave it running on mute if you're going away, right?
Exactly.
Never know,
so.
Right?
So
that's all good. I'm only kidding. You're not allowed to ask people to do that, but never mind, right?
So before we forget, we need to recap on what's going on this week. I believe we're still on Wednesday night. Yes, 5 o'clock Eastern.
Yes.
10 p.m. UK time.
Yes. For anybody who isn't subscribed to Mark's channel, that is Centroid, the link is in the stream description. Also, just say hello in the chat, Mark, just for anybody who hasn't got you. And
sure.
The next show is Wednesday night, the usual slot, 5 p.m. Eastern time, 10 p.m. UK time. Yeah, I got that right, okay? On Wednesday night, that'll be on Mark's channel. As always, we alternate every week who does the show. Please check us out Wednesday on Mark's channel. He gets to host, so it won't be me talking as much, right? And we'll catch you all Wednesday. Yay! EBRFPV says, thanks guys, it was a great stream again. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you to everybody who's come in. Now, Mark, do we, as tradition dictates, do we have a stream to raid tonight?
Yes, we do. I just put the link in the chat, and he's probably only on for a couple more minutes. Dennis Lovelady is doing a sunset stream right now. They usually do a sunrise stream, and he's probably only on till the sunset completes where he is in the country. So please, for the last few minutes of his stream, it'd be great if you guys could pop in there, say hello. He's got about, what's he got watching right now? He's got 8 people watching, and he would just love for people to pop over there. He's a great guy, great supporter of the drone community, really super nice guy. I had a chance to interview him before. So, Roger's on tonight at 7 p.m. also. Let's make sure everybody knows that.
Yeah, so everybody who's currently watching still, remember in 30 minutes, it is 30 minutes, right? Yeah. 30 minutes, Roger's going live as well. Canadian Drone Hub. Don't miss it, please. He is awesome. We love Roger to bits.
Speaking of which, have you seen my hat? Have you seen my hat, Roger?
Nice. Yeah,
I'm supporting Roger. Yeah, I'm representing the Canadian Drone Hub. Please have a chance and go take a look at his channel. He does a great job as well. So thanks for reminding me, Roger, and greatly appreciate that. Yes. So I'm all set, Steve. So we can wrap this up, I guess.
Yeah, okay, please go over to Dennis Lovelady's stream, the sunset stream, with an aerial raid if you would. That would be very much appreciated. I'm going to start the ball rolling in there with an aerial raid. Please don't leave me hanging in there, otherwise I'll look like a some one-man raid douchebag. Right, that's all right. Yeah, okie dokie, right. I've put that in there. Please aerial raid him. That's all good. And we'll catch you all over there. And we'll catch you in Roger's stream as well in 30 minutes. Canadian Drone Hub. You know what I mean? Let's have it, okay? Thank you everyone for watching. We'll catch you all real soon, okay? All the best. Have a good weekend.
Take care, everybody.
See you all on Wednesday. Cheers, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Farewell. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.